Have you ever wondered what's really going on in your brain when a substance changes how you feel? We're talking about everything from your morning cup of coffee to things way more intense. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain and explain how it all works chemically.
It's a huge question, right? We use words like buzz, high, or trip, but what is actually happening inside your head on a chemical level? That's exactly what we're about to break down, piece by piece.
So here's the game plan. First, we got to get the basics down, the brain's own chemical messengers. Then we'll sort these substances into three big groups: the uppers, the downers, and, well, the others. And finally, we'll talk about the price the brain always has to pay.
Okay, before we can understand any drug's effect, we have to talk about the brain's natural operating system. It really all comes down to chemistry.
So I want you to think of your brain's supply of neurotransmitters, things like dopamine and serotonin, as a kind of chemical bank account. It's got a carefully managed balance to keep you feeling normal. What drugs do, essentially, is they come in and take out massive, unauthorized loans from that account.
Let's start with the stimulants, or the uppers. These are the drugs that make you feel like you're on fast forward, like you're sharper, more awake, because they're forcing your brain to spend its energy savings all at once.
And we've got to begin with the most popular drug on the entire planet, caffeine. Now, here's the wild part. Caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. No, it does something way sneakier. It blocks the little landing pads for a chemical called adenosine, which is what tells your brain you're getting tired. So you're not actually more energized, you're just blissfully unaware of how exhausted you really are. Now, this is a really critical idea if you want to understand addiction. That feeling of calm a smoker gets isn't real relaxation. It's just a temporary fix for the anxiety and craving that the last cigarette created. It's this perfect vicious cycle where the drug is both the problem and the only thing that seems like a solution.
When you get to more powerful uppers like cocaine, the illusion is just immense. People report feeling like a god, like they're untouchable. But the reality inside the brain? It's chaos. It's being drowned in so much dopamine that the cleanup systems just give up. It's an incredible chemical fire that burns itself out, leading to an absolutely brutal crash.
And this chart really puts it all into perspective. Look at this. If your morning coffee gives you a little nudge of dopamine, cocaine hits you with a massive surge. But then there's methamphetamine. It's not a surge, it's a tsunami. It completely short-circuits the brain's reward system, which is why it creates one of the most powerful addictions known to science. Okay, so if the uppers are all about hitting the gas pedal, our next category is all about slamming on the brakes. The downers, or depressants, work by slowing down all the chatter between your brain cells.
And alcohol is the perfect example here. That first drink, that warm, confident feeling, that's the alcohol starting to suppress your frontal lobe, the part that handles judgment. As you keep going, that suppression spreads, hitting your motor skills, your emotional regulation, which leads, of course, to the dreaded hangover. That's just your brain desperately trying to find its balance again after the chemical storm.
Then you have prescription sedatives like benzos. They work by boosting GABA, which is basically your brain's main brake pedal. And they work incredibly well for anxiety, but there's a huge catch. The brain gets lazy. It stops making its own calm, and pretty soon it needs the drug just to feel normal. This makes getting off them extremely difficult, even dangerous. Opioids are probably the most powerful downers out there. They do two things. They shut down pain, and they unleash a wave of euphoria so intense that it actually hijacks your brain's deepest survival programming. Your brain gets tricked into thinking that the drug is just as important as breathing. It rewires your survival instinct itself, creating a dependency that's just profound. All right, our last category is for the substances that don't just change your speed, they change the very nature of reality as you perceive it. These are the reality benders. Let's start with MDMA, also known as ecstasy. It's famous for creating this incredible feeling of love and empathy for everyone. The reason? It causes a massive flood of serotonin, the chemical for trust and connection. The only problem is, it's like opening the floodgates. Your brain dumps its entire weekly supply in a few hours, leaving you emotionally drained and depleted for days while it tries to recover. I think this quote just captures LSD perfectly. It works by totally scrambling the brain's filing system. Normally, separate parts of your brain start talking to each other, which is why people might see sounds or hear colors. It can lead to incredible insights, but the experience is so powerful and unpredictable that it can sometimes leave psychological ripples long after it's over.
Now, psilocybin, the active compound in magic mushrooms, is a bit different. It's less about creating something new and more about acting like a giant amplifier for what's already inside you. It takes your current emotions, your memories, your subconscious thoughts, and just turns the volume way, way up. For better or for worse.
And then there's ketamine, which is in a class of its own. It's a dissociative. See, instead of just distorting the information coming into your brain, it starts to block it. This is what creates that bizarre out-of-body sensation people call the K-hole. Your mind literally feels like it's separating from your physical body, because chemically it kind of is.
So we've seen substances that speed you up, slow you down, and turn reality inside out. But despite all those differences, every single one of them shares one universal rule. There is always a chemical bill to pay.
And this takes us right back to our bank account idea. Your brain's #1 job is to maintain balance. That feeling of being high is a massive high-interest loan you're taking out from your future well-being. The come down, the crash, the hangover, that's just your brain trying to pay off the chemical debt. And addiction? That's when the debt gets so big your brain